Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing on Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. The fire potential impacts for the next couple of days are pretty light. We have some smoke moving into far western Nevada today. That smoke expands further west tomorrow with some increased winds right along the Sierra Front tomorrow afternoon, and then no significant impacts on Thursday. So pretty quiet week for weather impacts, at least for the next couple of days. Surface smoke for this afternoon is shown here with a little bit of surface smoke over far western Nevada, and then we see some thicker smoke from the California fires moving up into south central and central Nevada, and even up into Idaho. At the upper levels, same story, not too much to speak of today, only across western Nevada, and then that upper level smoke expands over much of the Great Basin by tomorrow. The past 24 hours were quiet with no precipitation and no lightning. And our initial attack fires have quieted down a bit as well, with a few fires here and there across all three states, but somewhat limited initial attack. The precipitation for the past 14 days is shown here, with the inches on the left and the percent of normal on the right. Still been a couple of dry weeks, especially for Nevada and Utah. But above normal precip over southern Idaho and up into eastern Idaho as well, with that last storm that moved through last weekend. ERCs are fairly low across the geographic area right now following the cold front that moved through last weekend. We are seeing some warmer and drier conditions returning to the Great Basin this week, so we'll see the values increasing. But right now, fire danger is generally on the low side across the area. Closer look at some specific PSAs right along the Sierra Front here. The values are right around average for the time of year. They have come down over the last 5 days or so. And then in central Utah, same story. The values are right around average for the time of year. This morning's satellite imagery is showing a nice high pressure in place across the western U.S. that will continue to expand across the Great Basin today and into tomorrow. Again, for this afternoon, high pressure across the area, dry conditions, really nice fall weather, and no high risk out there, of course, today with yellows and browns limited to central and southern Nevada. Winds are generally light across much of the area. We do have some slightly breezy winds over western Idaho and far western Nevada. And temperatures are on the upward trend today, with highs in the 80s over Nevada, a little bit cooler in Idaho and Utah today. On Wednesday, a trough quickly moves across the northern Rockies, bringing an increase in wind speeds to a portion of the Great Basin, but keeping things dry and generally warm across the south, maybe a slightly cooler across the northern part of the area, but not expecting any precip. So for tomorrow afternoon, some increased wind gusts over eastern Idaho and western Wyoming, along the Sierra Front, and a slight increase over southern Utah. We don't have any high-risk triggers issued at this time, and no red flag warnings either, but we'll be watching the situation for tomorrow. Relative humidities are lowest over Nevada, in the single digits for across much of the state, with slightly higher values over Utah and Idaho and Wyoming. On Thursday, that low quickly exits off to the east. Some breezy winds will still stick around for Wednesday, but continued dry conditions. No high-risk triggers issued for Thursday. So we'll see some increased winds over Utah and western Wyoming on Thursday. Northerly winds here as that trough exits to the east. And not expecting really any precipitation with that low as it exits to the east either. 3-day precipitation totals are shown here. Again, pretty dry forecast, maybe a little shower here or there as that trough moves through, but generally dry, and southerly moisture is staying to the south. Friday, the ridge tries to rebuild back over the Great Basin with warming temperatures area-wide. We'll see some yellow dryness levels expanding further north into the Great Basin. And then the story continues on Saturday with warm and dry conditions persisting area-wide. Again, the moisture that we thought perhaps would be working its way up into the Great Basin remains suppressed over Mexico. So a dry forecast for now. Again, this time of year confidence isn't super high in the extended time frame, but right now it looks like we're in for a drier weekend. And start of next week, so on Monday, the high pressure ridge again building back in, keeping things warm and dry and warm for the time of year. Highs near 80 or in the low 80s as we start next week. But definitely stay tuned as the forecast develops and changes. The precipitation accumulations for the next 7 days. This image is still showing a little bit of precip moving into the southern Great Basin, but again, the models have been changing, so there's not a ton of confidence in really in any of these forecasts. So we'll be watching to see if we get any southerly moisture into the Great Basin later in the forecast period. And then the extended forecast for September 28th through October 4th puts the bullseye of heat over the northern Rockies and northern plains there. Still warm over the Great Basin. Again, that southerly moisture looking to come into southern Utah, but we'll be keeping an eye on that. And that concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.